I believe that because we're already showing her that being kind is so important, by the time that she's 10, it's a norm for her.
Yeah.
Hindi na kailangan i-reward kasi it's part of who she is as a person.
Right.
She's a kind person.
Hi, Children First subscribers! We're back with another parenting guide episode. I hope you and your child enjoyed our 9th book, ang May Alaga, Akong, Bakulaw. For today's episode, makakasama natin ang isa sa mga UNICEF Philippines Goodwill Ambassadors and the author of our first book, Anita the Duckling Diva, no other than Miss Ann Curtis.
Hi! Hello, everyone! Hello, Teacher Annie.
Hello,
I'm
Ann.
so happy to finally be joining you here for today's episode. As you mentioned earlier, yes, I am a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, but otherwise, people just know me as Mommy ni Dalia.
Totoo.
It was my very first children's book, Anita the Duckling Diva. When I wrote that book and why I chose that topic of overcoming shyness, I feel it was so relevant in the children that I was interacting with. So that's why sobra akong inspired na sulatin yon.
Did you have to go through that, Anne? You also had to overcome shyness?
Yes. Especially being in the industry that I'm in, at a young age, ang dami mong nakakasalamuhan ng mga tao. So, parang you tend to parang shut down, kakapit ka sa mama mo, di ba? Parang ayaw mo nang makipag-usap, no eye contact. So, it really was interesting for me to see how I could help other people, or children rather, overcome that.
Yeah, it's such a meaningful story, Anne, and I'm so glad that it starts off our series. And right now, I'm also glad that we are with you and we're moving on to our next story, which is May Alaga, Akong, Bakulaw.
Ang kwento nga to ay tungkol sa batang si Lilit na may tinulungan kapitbahay na tinatawag niyang Bakulaw. Matangkad, mahaba ang buhok, at mabaho ang hininga. This is how Lilit described her friend to her mom, na sanay ng may imaginary friends ang anak niya.
Nako, and I can imagine, nagulat yung nanay niya when she finds out na totoo pala yung bakulaw and it's their neighbor. But it's so nice, Anne, when you read the story, you see how this small child reaches out to their neighbor and actually helps him out through a difficult time in his life.
Actually, what resonated with me nung binabasa ko siya, grabe yung bata, may empathy
Totoo.
kaagad.
In fact, paligay ko, may empathy naman talaga lahat tayo. And sa kids, parang it must be in its purest form. Pero Anne, ang naisip ko rin when I read this story, bilib na bilib ako sa nanay ni Lilith. Kasi sure ako, yung empathy na yan, yung pagiging niyang concern sa ibang tao, nakuha niya yan sa nanay niya, sa taong lagi niyang kasama.
Ang mga bata, they really mirror what they see. Lalo na yung mga nakakasama nila yung araw-araw, lalo na sa kanilang nanay. I can kind of relate to this in a sense na si Dalia naman, when we were in the park, there was a younger child crying. Tapos nilapitan niya. Tuwang-tuwa ako kasi sabi niya, "It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay."
And Dalia's just 4.
She's 4.
Diba?
Sabi ko talaga, narinig niya sa akin yung, it's just so funny to see a 4-year-old saying, "It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay."
Cute.
So, sabi ko, it really matters. And we as parents also have to be sure that what we are doing is going to set a good example to our children, because kagayahin talaga nila yan eh. The way you speak, the language you use, the emotions that you show.
Alam mo, sa totoo lang, Anne, ang tumatatak talaga sa mga bata, yung nakikita nilang ginagawa natin. More than yung ano yung sinasabi natin. Kunyari, you can say, Dalia, be kind.
Yes.
Be considerate towards others. Pero kung nakikita niya, kung wala siyang examples of that from you, as her mom and from her dad, hindi niya talaga yun ililive out. So it's so important that you model the values that you want your child to exhibit.
Although it's also, I think, ang hirap din pag
Oo naman.
parent ka, diba? So paano siya magiging consistent at all times?
Oo. I think key din for parents is for us to realize na tao lang tayo.
Yes.
Mortal lang tayo, so we can go, we have times that we are not as mindful about what we do, what we say. So dapat nakakatch din natin yung sarili natin if we think that we weren't the best example to our child at a certain moment, dapat mag-set aside din tayo ng time to talk to our child na, alam mo kanina, sobra ko lang talagang galit, anak, pero hindi ko tuloy masyadong naintindihan yung buong situation, and I acted or I reacted in a negative way. Pero sana pag nangyari yun sa'yo, parang mas mindful ka, and you're better at it than mommy was.
Yeah, I think that's so important also na wag natin i-underestimate yung pinagdadaanan din
Oo, ng parent.
ng parent, 'di ba? Because it's hard if you also don't process that with your child.
Right.
Parang kasali din siya sa pinagdadaanan mo. If it does happen, to set aside time para kausapin at paiintindihin sa child mo na, sorry anak ha, kasi ganito yung nangyari kanina. But mama is sorry if hindi ako nag-set ng good example, or nasabi ko to, or ginawa ko ba to, or hindi kita narinig, hindi kita... It's not that mommy doesn't love you or didn't hear you. Parang ganun, i-explain mo lang sa kanya so naiintindihan.
Yeah, and also, Anne, it's important for us to remember na we also shouldn't underestimate our children. Parang Dahlia at 4 will understand it. Parang there's a way to explain to her. And then there's also a way to explain it to her again when she grows up, or revisit parang difficult times in the past and try to process it with your child in the future. Kasi it's a continuing conversation. The shaping of our children's values, the shaping of our children's mindfulness, it's a continuing conversation for as long as we are their parent.
You think that they're, maybe because baka bata lang yan, 3 or 4, okay lang, hindi pa nila naiintindihan. Pero valid yung nararamdaman nila. And I think it's so important that you're there to help them process what they're going through.
Yeah, and valid din yung feelings natin as parents.
din naman yun.
Valid ang feelings lagi.
Always valid ang feelings.
And because all feelings are valid, it's very important that we as parents acknowledge our kids' feelings, our own feelings, turuan din natin sila to acknowledge other people's feelings, so the people who surround them. And this is really the way to develop their empathy and their kindness towards others. Ikaw, Anne, paano mo tinatry i-develop yung kindness ni Dahlia?
At such a young age, I think it's as simple as teaching her how to share. Diba? Parang
Challenge yan,
challenge yun, especially at this age na mine, no. Diba? Yun yung age na no, mine muna. So I think that alone can help prepare them on how to figure out how by themselves without you telling them, oh, you share ha, doon nagsistart na yung empathy nila. If they see that the other child is sad kasi hindi siya ni-share, kusa na nilang mararamdaman na,
I will share what's mine.
Para hindi na siya sad.
Diba?
So, it's as simple as that pa lang, na parang, if you as a parent are able to guide your child to share, it's already a simple act of kindness on their end.
And parang it's a good start, Anne, kasi some of us have these really gigantic ways that we show our kindness, like some of us visit the home for the aged or orphanages, and eventually parang I'm sure you will bring Dahlia on some of these experiences, to some of these experiences.
Yes. I mean, hindi pa namin nagagawa ngayon. I mean, we did do a fundraiser with UNICEF for Dahlia's first birthday.
Oh, how nice.
And I kept all of the messages that everyone was sending in when they were donating, because I want her to understand that somehow, at such a young age, she was also able to ignite other people to help other children.
To be kind as well.
A lending hand. I think it's so important. Eventually, isasama ko na rin siya sa outreach programs ko or the work that I do with UNICEF Philippines.
It's important then, Anne, na we ready Dahlia for that time when you bring her along to your outreach. Kasi hindi din natin sure kung how they will, react around the vulnerable, around the less fortunate, around people who will be desperate and asking for help. So we should also be ready for those difficult situations and difficult conversations with our children before embarking on such an endeavor, and also afterwards. Kunyari, I'm sure pag nakakita siya ng kailangan ng debrief na psychological, di ba? Yung parang pakatanungin kanya, Mommy, bakit ganon? Bakit ganon yung buhay nila? Bakit wala silang natatanggap na tulong all the time? So we should also be ready for that after that experience.
That's another big step in parenting,
Yeah.
no?
Alam mo, Ann, ang saya talaga nitong big acts of kindness. Pero palagay ko yung mas malaking hamon sa atin as parents is to set kindness as the minimum. Parang the everyday forms of kindness.
Part na yan ng pagkatao nila.
Tama, oo.
Na hindi mo nire-reward, ganun.
Oo, 'di ba? Kasi alangan namang i-reward mo yung anak mo for yung mga everyday acts of kindness niya.
Yes.
Pero habang bata sila, I know you know this, it's reward enough when they see that their mom and dad are very proud of them for doing an act of kindness. It's a reward enough to see that their friend is happier
Yeah.
when they've extended kindness to their friend.
Yeah.
Saka habang bata sila, we should be very conscious to reward them with that. That's great, anak. Oo.
Thank
hanggang
you.
ma-extinguish na 'yon, 'di ba? Hanggang maging natural na sa kanila, as
Yes.
you said, part na ng pagkatao nila, and you don't need to positively reinforce them anymore.
Yes. So, like kami, ako kay Dahlia and Erwan kay Dahlia also, now that she's learning how to share, kahit minsan 5 minutes lang muna, yung can you share for 5 minutes
Yeah.
first, I think for us, we reward her by saying, thank you for sharing, Dahlia. I mean, we're not gonna say that forever.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
she won't be 10 and we'll still say, thank you for sharing,
Oo,
Dahlia,
oo,
because
oo.
I believe that because we're already showing her that being kind is so important. By the time that she's 10, it's a norm for her.
Yeah,
Hindi na
yeah.
kailangan i-reward kasi it's part of who she is as a person.
Right,
She's a kind person.
And I think important then to make our children realize na we appreciate their acts of kindness because sometimes it's difficult to be kind.
Yeah.
Minsan we ask them to be kind to other children who are not exactly kind to them.
Ang galing,
Ayoko
oo nga.
maging kind to that child kasi
Hindi
siya
nice.
kind sa akin, hindi siya nice sa
Hindi
akin.
siya nice sa
Oh.
akin.
Saka hindi rin siya nag-share sa akin, mommy. So
Yes.
bakit pinapa-share mo ako
Yes.
sa kanya? Pero yan yung mga great acts of kindness,
Yes.
diba? You're kind to people who aren't exactly kind to you.
Yeah.
Oh, and that one, we also have to model.
Yes. That you don't always get their way, but
Yeah.
it's a big act if you're able to be kind even in those situations.
True. Challenging talagang ituro ang kindness and empathy sa ating mga anak. Pero kung nakikita nila itong pinapractice ng kanilang parents at ang mga tao sa kanilang bahay, madali nila itong maisa sa buhay.
Tama ka dyan, Teacher Annie. Thank you so much for having me today. Madami talaga akong natutunan. And I'm sure pati yung mga subscribers natin, marami din silang na-pick up today. And of course, sobrang sakto yung topic natin today because I am here. In fact, we are all here to help children through UNICEF.
Ang dami ko ring natutuhan sa iyo, Anne. Thanks for being with us in this episode. And to our subscribers, thank you for watching this month's parenting guide. We hope you had fun and learned something new today as you help children in need.
We hope you enjoyed our parenting sessions and the books and activities you received every month. And not only that, through your monthly donations to UNICEF, you're also helping the most disadvantaged children get the support they need sa education, health and nutrition, protection, and aid in emergencies.
So let's continue changing children's lives one story at a time. See you again next month for another exciting story and parenting guide session. Enjoy your kindest adventure. That's a wrap!